Assalamu alaikum. The subject name is Educational Assessment and Evaluation. These are the learning outcomes of this subject, and by the end of this course, the student will be able to attain all these following outcomes. This is the unit number 1, the role of measurement and assessment in teaching. In this unit, we will read about the concept of assessment, measurement and test, principles of assessment, process of assessment, and different types of assessment. Assessment is a systematic process that plays a significant role in effective teaching. We define the assessment as it is a general term that includes a full range of procedures used to gain information about student learning through observations, projects, paper pencil tests. Assessment it begins with the identification of learning goals and ends with a judgment concerning the extent to which those goals have been achieved. Assessment answers the question, how well does the individual perform? A test is the particular type of assessment that typically consists of a set of questions administered during a fixed period of time under reasonably comparable conditions for all students. Test answer the question, how well does the individual perform in comparison with others? Measurement. Measurement is the assigning of numbers to the result of a test or other type of assessment according to a specific rule. For example, counting correct answer or awarding points for a particular aspect of an essay. Measurement answers the question, how much? It is basically the process of obtaining a numerical description of the degree to which an individual possesses a particular characteristic. General principles of assessment. There are 5 principles of assessment. The first one is clearly specifying what is to be assessed has priority in the assessment process. The second one is an assessment procedure should be selected because of its relevance to the characteristics or performance to be measured. Assessment procedure should be relevant with the objectives especially. For example, if you want to check the writing skills of a student, then you must develop the performance assessment task if you want to check their ideas organization. For this purpose, you have also developed the performance assessment task rather than MCQs items. The third principle is comprehensive assessment requires a variety of procedures. If you want to check a student, assess a student in a proper way, then you must use the different procedure of assessment. For example, you can use the short answer items, you can use true false, matching exercises, MCQs, performance assessment tasks, or observation interviews as according to your instructional objectives requirements. The fourth principle is proper use of assessment procedures requires an awareness of their limitations. You must have knowledge about the limitations of what assessment procedure you use in your assessment. The fifth principle is assessment is a means to an end, not an end in itself, because it also guides you for your future decisions. That's why it's not an end in itself. Assessment and the instructional process. The first one is identifying instructional goals. The first step in both teaching and assessment is determining the learning outcomes to be expected from classroom instructions. For example, how should students think and act when they complete the learning experiences? What knowledge and understanding should the student possess? These type of question raised when you want to build or identify the instructional goals. So firstly, the first priority in the instructional assessment and the instructional process is you must identify the instructional goals. The second one is the pre-assessing the learner needs. When the instructional goals have been clearly specified, it is usually desirable to make some assessment of the learner needs in relation to the learning outcomes to be achieved. Has the student already developed the skill and understanding intended? Assessing student knowledge and skills at the beginning of instruction enables us to answer such questions. So, the third one is providing relevant instructions. The third step is provide relevant instructions in order to achieve intended learning outcomes. The fourth one is assessing the intended learning outcome. The final step in the instructional process is to determine the extent to which objectives were achieved by the student, and this is accomplished by using tests and other type of assessment that are specifically designed to measure the intended learning outcome. And the last one is using the result. As you can see in this diagram, the last step, you can use the result for the improvement in learning and instruction, for making and reporting to parents, and use of result for other school purposes, for school to when you want to change your school, at that time you can use your results. So these are the instructional process. Types of assessment procedures. Maximum performance. In the first category, it includes all those procedures used to determine a person's developed abilities or achievement. Procedures of this type are concerned with how well individuals perform when they are motivated to obtain as high a score as possible. This procedure is concerned with what the individual can do, whereas the typical performance, the second category in this classification of procedure, it includes those designed to reflect the person's typical behavior. Procedures of this type are concerned with what individuals will do rather than what they can do. Fixed choice test. The format of test and assessment has been the subject of considerable debate and controversy in recent years, and multiple choice items has been the most widely used format on standardized tests in the United States for more than a half century. Multiple choice and other variation of selected response test items that include true, false and matching exercises are highly efficient in fixed choice tests because students can respond a relatively large number of questions in a brief period of time, and the responses can be machine scored easily. These type of tests have the objective scoring having the high reliability for a given period of time, and cost effectiveness are major advantages of this technique. The drawback of this technique is only that it overemphasizes on the factual knowledge. Complex performance assessment. Performance assessment tasks are intended to closely reflect long-term instructional goals and require students to solve problems of importance outside the confines of classroom or to perform in ways that are valued in their own right. Written essays are one example of a complex performance task that reflects the instructional goals of effective communication more than a selected response test could. Other examples included open-ended mathematics problem requiring extended response, laboratory experiment in science, creation of a piece of art, oral presentation project, and exhibition of student work. The complex performance assessment is the authentic assessment, but the problem is it is the more time consuming in administering and scoring, and also its scoring is in the subjective manner, which is its drawback. The next is placement assessment, formative assessment, diagnostic and summative assessment. Test and other assessment procedures can also be classified in terms of their functional role in classroom instructions. They classified the assessment of student performance in the following manner. For example, the placement test, placement assessment. Placement assessment is used to determine student performance at the beginning of instruction. Is usually concerned with the student's entry performance and typically focuses on questions such as the following. Does the student possesses the knowledge and skills needed to begin the planned instruction? The second one is the formative assessment. Formative assessment is used to monitor learning progress during instruction. Its purpose is to provide continuous feedback to both students and teachers concerning learning, success and failures. The third one is the diagnostic assessment. Diagnostic assessment is a highly specialized procedure. If a student continues to experience failure in any subject despite the use of prescribed alternative method of instruction during formative assessment, then a more detailed diagnosis is indicated, and that is solved in the diagnostic assessment. Solved by summative assessment. Summative assessment is used to assess achievement at the end of instruction. It is designed to determine the extent to which the instructional goals have been achieved and is used primarily for assigning courses grade or for certifying student mastery of the intended learning outcome. These are the explanation of all these types. You can read it. Norm-reference and criterion reference measurement. There are two basic ways of interpreting student performance. Norm-reference interpretation describes the performance in terms of the relative position held in some norm group. For example, type better than 90% of the class members. It means the student is on high position from 90% of their class members. And norm reference interpretation is used to discriminate among individuals, and it includes all the items of average difficulty and typically omits very easy and very hard items, difficult items. Whereas criterion reference interpretation, it describes the specific performance that was demonstrated by the student. For example, type 40 words per minute without error. In criterion reference interpretation, it describes of what learning task individual can and cannot perform, and it matches the item difficulty to the learning task only. It's not only include very easy or very difficult item. This is some other definition of norm reference and criterion reference assessment. These two types of assessment are best viewed as the ends of a continuum rather than as a clear-cut dichotomy, as shown in the following continuum. The criterion reference test emphasizes description of the performance, and norm reference test emphasizes description among individuals. Sometimes test publishers have added norm reference interpretation to tests that was specially built for criterion reference interpretation. The use of dual interpretation with published tests seems to be an increasing trend that will move many tests more towards the center of the continuum, which you can see in your diagram. Although this involves some compromises in test construction and some questions in test interpretation, the increased versatility may contribute to more effective test use. This chart is about comparison of norm reference test and criterion reference test. It discusses about the common characteristic of NRT and CRT and difference between NRT and CRT. The next slide is about summary of assessment categories. Informal versus standardized tests. Informal tests are those constructed by classroom teachers, whereas those designed by test specialists and administered, scored and interpreted under standard conditions, it's called the standardized test. This is the difference between these both tests. Supply versus fixed response test. Supply test require examiner to supply the answer. Examiner to supply the answer, for example essay test, whereas other require to select one of two or more fixed responses options, such as the MCQs item. Speed versus power test. A speed test is designed to measure the number of items an individual can complete in a given time, whereas a power test is designed to measure level of performance under ample time conditions. This is the difference between speed test and power test. And power test usually have the items arranged in order to increasing difficulty. Objective versus subjective test. An objective test is one on which equally competent examiners will obtain the same scores. For example, multiple choice test, whereas a subjective test is one in which the scores are influenced by the options or judgment of the person doing the scoring. That is the essay test.